You've done everything right, and your body still feels like it's failing you. You wake up tired even after 8 hours of sleep. You eat clean for weeks and the fatigue doesn't move. You try the 16-hour fast, then the 18-hour fast, then you give up and feel guilty for giving up. Here's the thing nobody tells you. It was never about willpower. Your body has been running a maintenance system since before you were born. A cleanup crew, a repair shop, and most of us have been sabotaging it without knowing it existed. Not because we're lazy, because nobody explained the mechanism. Stay with me, because this changes everything. In 2016, a Japanese cell biologist named Yoshinori Osumi won the Nobel Prize for uncovering something your cells have been doing quietly, every single day, your entire life. It's called autophagy. The word literally means self-eating. And no, that's not a bad thing. Picture a factory floor. Every machine on that floor wears down a little each day. Bolts loosen, parts corrode. If nobody sends a crew to clear out the broken components, the whole factory eventually seizes up. Your cells have that crew. They tag the damaged parts, break them down, recycle the raw materials into brand new components. It's not destruction. It's renewal. This was never your fault. Your body was designed to clean house every single day, if you give it the chance. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. That constant snacking you thought was helping your metabolism, the protein shake every 2 hours to stay anabolic, the habit of never letting your stomach feel empty, every one of those choices sends your cells one very specific instruction. Stop cleaning, start building. And when your cells never get the signal to clean, the damaged parts don't get cleared. They pile up, quietly, for years, long before you ever feel it. Here's the part nobody talks about. There's a master switch inside every one of your cells that decides whether it's in repair mode or growth mode. Researchers at institutions like Harvard and the Salk Institute have spent decades mapping exactly how that switch flips. And what they found explains almost everything about why you feel exhausted, inflamed, and stuck, no matter how hard you try. But to understand the switch, you first have to meet what's been quietly jamming it. Something most people eat, drink, or do every single day without a second thought. Something so normal, so socially accepted, that almost nobody suspects it. Part 2 K Lié Next Type Karain. The switch is called mTOR. Think of mTOR as the foreman on your factory floor. When food, especially protein and sugar, floods in, mTOR blows the whistle. Building mode. Growth mode. Every worker stops cleaning and starts constructing. That's useful, sometimes. But here's what changes everything. When mTOR never quiets down, because you're eating every 2 to 3 hours all day, every day, the cleanup crew never gets called in. Damaged proteins and worn-out cell parts stay on the floor for years. That buildup is quietly linked to the fatigue, brain fog, and slow recovery so many people over 35 just accept as getting older. It wasn't aging doing that to you. It was a foreman who never got a break. Here's the part that matters. There's a second switch, the opposite of mTOR, called AMPK. Researchers sometimes call it the body's energy sensor. When AMPK activates, it does the opposite of mTOR. It calls in the cleanup crew. It tells your cells to repair, recycle, and become more efficient. And the beautiful part? You can flip that switch yourself, on purpose, starting tomorrow morning. Within the first hour of waking, delay food for at least 12 hours from your last meal the night before. This is when AMPK is naturally most active, and it gives your cells uninterrupted cleanup time before the day's first meal shuts it back down. Midday. When you do eat, prioritize protein and fiber over refined carbohydrates. A stable blood sugar curve keeps mTOR from spiking and crashing all afternoon, which is part of why steady energy feels so different from the mid-morning crash so many people call normal. Evening. Stop eating at least 3 hours before sleep. Growth hormone and much of your nightly cellular repair work happen more efficiently when your body isn't simultaneously digesting a meal. Movement. A short walk after eating helps shuttle glucose into your muscles instead of your bloodstream, gently supporting AMPK activation without requiring a formal workout. None of these steps work in isolation. That's the part people miss. The fasting window supports the cleanup. The protein-first meal supports stable energy. The evening cutoff supports deeper repair. The walk supports all three. Stack them, and the effect compounds, not because any single habit is magic, but because your cells were designed to respond to rhythm, not perfection. Your body was never broken, it was just waiting for the signal. And there's one more switch, one connected to a molecule called NAD, discovered decades ago but only recently understood, that determines how fast your cells can even respond to that signal in the first place. We haven't talked about that one yet. Your cells can hear the instruction, repair yourself perfectly clearly. The problem is they can't always follow it. You did the fast, you fixed the eating window, you started walking after meals, and some days you still feel like you're running on empty, even when everything else lined up. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Having the right signal isn't enough. Your cells also need the fuel to act on it. Not because you're doing something wrong, because there's a resource inside every one of your cells that quietly runs out as you age, and almost nobody checks it. Stay with me, because this is the missing piece. In the early 2000s, researchers began mapping a molecule called NAD. It's been known to science for over a century, but its real role only became clear recently. Scientists at Harvard, including Dr. David Sinclair's lab along with researchers at MIT, started asking a strange question. What if the cleanup crew and the repair switches you already have only work as well as their power supply? Picture the factory again. The foreman can blow the whistle, the cleanup crew can show up. But if the lights are dimming and the machines are losing power, the work slows down anyway. Repairs take longer, some jobs never finish. NAD is that power supply. Every repair enzyme in your body, the ones that fix damaged DNA, the ones that support your mitochondria, the ones that help your cleanup crew actually function, they all run on NAD. This was never your fault. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. NAD levels don't decline because you did anything wrong. They decline on a schedule. By the time most people hit their 40s, NAD levels have dropped by nearly half compared to their 20s. By their 60s, often by more than half again. Here's the part nobody talks about. That decline isn't just a number on a research chart. It's the difference between a repair crew working at full power and one working through a brownout. Part 2 K-Lae, next type Karain. So what quietly drains it faster than it should? A molecule involved in your body's stress and inflammation response called CD38 increases with age and chronic inflammation, and every time it activates, it consumes NADP plus to do its job. The more inflammation your body carries, quietly, day after day, the faster that power supply gets used up before your repair crews ever get their share. That's the part that surprised researchers. It wasn't just time draining your NAD+. It was low-grade, invisible inflammation, the kind you don't feel from poor sleep, chronic stress, and processed food, quietly outcompeting your own repair systems for fuel. Here's what changes everything. You can support your NAD levels starting today without waiting on a lab test. Morning. Sunlight exposure within the first 30 minutes of waking helps regulate your circadian rhythm, and a stable circadian rhythm is directly linked to healthier NAD cycling throughout the day. Midday. Foods rich in NAD precursors, like tryptophan-containing proteins such as turkey, salmon, and eggs, give your body raw material to rebuild NAD naturally, rather than relying on it to synthesize everything from scratch. Evening. Prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of consistent sleep matters here more than almost anywhere else because a significant portion of NAD regeneration and cellular repair activity is concentrated during deep sleep stages. Movement. Brief bursts of higher intensity activity, even just a few minutes a few times a week, have been shown to support NAD production through effects on your mitochondria, your cell's own energy generators. None of this replaces the fasting window or the eating rhythm you already built. It powers it. The clean, empty stomach gives your cells the signal to repair. The NAD gives them the energy to actually do it. Together they compound, each one making the other more effective than it could ever be alone. Your body was never failing you. It was running low on power, waiting for you to notice. And there's one more piece of this system, a set of proteins called sirtuins, sometimes nicknamed the body's longevity genes, that decide how your cells use that power once they have it. We haven't gotten to those yet. Your cells have the signal. Your cells have the power. But there's still a decision being made inside them that most people never hear about, because having fuel doesn't guarantee it gets used well. Here's the thing nobody tells you. Inside every cell, there's a set of proteins that act like a management team, deciding where your NAD actually gets spent. Repair DNA first, protect the mitochondria, slow down aging pathways. Someone has to make that call. Stay with me, because this is where it all connects. They're called sirtuins. Researchers sometimes call them the body's longevity genes, though that name oversimplifies what they actually do. Elizabeth Blackburn's Nobel Prize-winning work on telomeres, the protective caps on the ends of your DNA, helped open the door to understanding why proteins like these matter so much. Picture the factory one more time. The foreman gives the order. The power's on. But sirtuins are the site managers walking the floor, deciding which repair jobs get prioritized when there isn't enough power to fix everything at once. This was never random. Here's where it gets counterintuitive. Sirtuins don't just sit there waiting for a job. They need to be activated, and one of the most reliable triggers for that is a small, manageable amount of cellular stress, not chronic stress, not the kind that drains you. Brief, controlled stress that tells your cells, stay sharp, stay efficient. Here's the part nobody talks about. That's exactly what a short fasting window does. It's exactly what a cold shower does. It's exactly what a hard, brief workout does. None of these things are healthy because they feel pleasant. They're healthy because they mildly stress your cells just enough to switch the site managers on. Comfort, all day, every day, does the opposite. It tells your sirtuins there's no urgency, and a site manager with no urgency starts letting jobs slide. Part 2, K. Liye, next type Karain. So what quietly keeps sirtuins switched off, even in people doing everything else right? Constant comfort, constant snacking, constant climate control, constant stimulation. A life engineered to remove every small stressor also removes the signal your cells rely on to stay efficient. That's what surprised researchers the most. It wasn't suffering that activated the longevity genes. It was brief, intentional discomfort, the kind you can control and recover from. Here's what changes everything. You can activate sirtuins starting today, layered directly onto the system you've already built. Morning. A 30 to 90-second cold shower at the end of your normal shower gives your cells a brief, controlled stress signal without overwhelming your nervous system, gently nudging sirtuin activity upward. Midday. A brisk 15 to 20-minute walk at a pace that raises your heart rate slightly counts as manageable physical stress, reinforcing the same stay efficient signal your fasting window already sends. Evening. Resveratrol-containing foods like the skin of red grapes or a modest serving of dark berries have been studied for their potential role in supporting sirtuin activity, working alongside, not replacing, the habits already doing the heavier lifting. Weekly, 1 or 2 sessions of resistance training create enough controlled muscular stress to reinforce this same repair prioritizing signal throughout the week, not just on the day you train. None of this works by itself. That's the part people keep missing. The fasting window opens the door. The NAD powers the room. The sirtuins decide what gets fixed first. Remove any one piece, and the other 2 work at a fraction of their potential. Stack all 3, and your body starts running the way it was designed to. Not perfectly, but consistently day after day. Your body was never against you. It was waiting for you to give it what it actually needed. And there's one more thread in this system we haven't pulled yet, a hormone most people only associate with stress, that turns out to control whether all of this repair work happens on schedule or gets pushed back indefinitely. That one changes how you think about your mornings completely.